Okay. And just like that, we are live on another Friday night for another episode of the Crypto Dog Pound Unleashed. We got episode 8. This is Blockchain Dame reporting live. We got my man Blues. We got Satoshi Wolf. We got Crypto Clay. And then, oh yeah, we got my guy, the leader of the dojo, the sensei. We got my guy Korean Jew in the house. What's happening with you, bro?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for having me on.
What's good? So, I mean, and just to let the people know that's listening and all of this stuff right now, we don't pay anybody to be on here. We just this is out their own time, their own generosity. We reach out to them and they come on the show and they show love, man. Show love, get love. So with that being said, man, you started the way that you started in this game. Matter of fact, let's talk about that. How long have you been, like, your presence on Twitter and YouTube? Like, what is it right now? How long?
It's about a little bit over a year. So I think I started with YouTube in early September, and at the same time I started with Twitter. Yeah, and I've been in crypto for some time before that. I was lucky enough to be in before the market went crazy and capitalized. But I had never been active on social media or whatnot. I didn't even really know about Twitter. And what happened was Walton Chaincoin, when it first listed on Binance, nobody was really talking about it. And I saw this thing and I was like, yo, it looks good, but like nobody's talking about it. How do I get the word out? And I was going to other, at the time, like the Supermans of the world and these guys with YouTube followings and be like, hey, what do you think about this coin? And they're like, I don't know anything about it. Nobody really paid attention. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make a video, and like, how do I get this out there? Let me go on Twitter and see what's going on there. I didn't even really know about crypto Twitter. And basically I went and bought a webcam. I started YouTubing how to make YouTube. And, I made my first video on a Friday. By Sunday, it had 2,500 views. And the coin was going off. Yeah, so it's kind of like the rest is history. I got into crypto Twitter. I loved it. And yeah.
And now we're here on the Crypto Dog Pound show on a Friday night talking shit, huh? So this is so I remember I came onto the scene around that time and I had a Twitter for a long time, and then I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna start one back up just for this crypto shit. And I remember meeting you on there, and we kind of came on at the same time, but you took the fuck off, bro. You took the fuck off. You had the videos going, and now you got something called the Dojo. What exactly is the Dojo? And I like the whole persona that you've made with the sensei. And tell them about the Dojo, even though a lot of people know, but tell them about it.
Yeah, so this was something that we launched in October of 2017 as a private, trading and crypto group. And, I had a specific skill set of, kind of identifying coins that were going to blow up, undervalued gems, that type of thing. And I had a following based off of YouTube and Twitter. I made some pretty good calls, and, I gained some notoriety, and I was very consistent at that point. But at the same time, I realized that, I wasn't a technical analyst. I didn't have the charts down. That wasn't my thing. I didn't have a tech background. I was coming from, managing dental offices. I was a guy that was hungry. I had a kid on the way, and I saw the opportunity. I went for it, and I capitalized. Now, at the same time, I realized that I needed to surround myself with people that complemented, the components to the game that I wasn't strong at. So basically, it's become more of like a mastermind group throughout the year, because we've been around for over a year now. Some of the members really, I mean, and if you go in any group or any Discord, that's not like bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always going to be people that know what they're doing, and I've always been able to identify. I'm a good judge of character and talent, and I surround myself with these type of people. So there are people that started off as members that are now partners of mine. So as we grow, see who's pulling their weight, who's doing their thing, and you recognize that. I'm all about elevating people around me rather than, hogging the credit for myself. So people may see me on Twitter, and be like, oh, it doesn't do TA. But you know what? I got 5 to 10 guys in my group that are killers with TA. So
yeah, you got a hey KJ, you got a little echo. You got a little echo in the background. Somebody got an echo.
it's not me. I got headphones on.
Oh, so somebody's mic. There we go. There we go. That sounds better. KJ, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, continue on. Yeah. So that the echo's
yeah.
gone.
So basically, like what we do is, you know, we're just trying to be savages in this market, and you know, beyond, at some point we're like alts are bad. You know, we're not playing alts. We're going on BitMEX, and when alts are starting to pop off, we're going to the alts. We're just going where the money is right now.
Yeah, and that's the main idea. That's the whole point of this shit. Go to where the money is, and that's another. I'm glad that you explained that whole process, because a lot of the times, whether you're trying to start, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do in business. People think that you have to know everything to do something. This man has a successful group, and he just told you guys that he was not the best charter or whatever, but it's about who you meet and who you work with. And then if you put people on, then as a group, then y'all can all just take off. And that's why the dojo is what it is right now. And that's why they over there doing shit.
People knock the private group on crypto Twitter, and the reality is, you know, if it's not an easy thing to do, number one. Number two, to put it all on one person's shoulders is insane. You know, the amount of pressure, especially in the beginning, that I felt was like, it was like craziness. But I just had an attitude where I just refused to fail. You know, I'm like, this has to work. I quit my job and everything. I quit my job with a kid on the way. I already have an older son, and you know, I had a good job. It wasn't a bad job, but I just knew that something was telling me to go for this, and I knew that had I not quit my job, I wouldn't have been able to exert the amount of effort needed to be successful. So it's like kind of you take the security blanket away, or the security net, the safety net, and you know, it's you got to survive. So
you gotta survive. You gotta be hungry in these streets. It's just like a basketball team. Everybody got their roles. I know we got basketball fans that listen. Kobe had Shaq. He had Derek Fisher. He even had Robert Ory for a little bit. Kobe couldn't do it all by himself, even though he was Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Right. He had to get some help. So appreciate that introduction, my man. So we know how we rock. We got, like I said, we got my man KJ here, Korean Jew. We about to get into some nice news topics, because that's how we like to start it off over here. So my first thing that I wanted to talk about right now is so Fidelity, right? Fidelity. They said they will become the first Wall Street firm to launch crypto branch trading desk. There have been a lot of talks by a bunch of firms and a bunch of investment groups and all of that stuff doing stuff with crypto. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this may be one of the biggest developments yet in that little area of news. So Fidelity, they plan to launch a branch focusing on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum called Fidelity Digital Asset Services, FDAS, if you want to be acronymic with it and all of that shit. So they allow institutional investors to trade cryptocurrencies across multiple exchanges that comply with the Fidelity standard, whatever that is. And so I'm pretty sure you'll have like the big, you know, top 10, you know, LTC, BTC, all of that stuff. But what I want to ask you guys, what I want you guys to key in on is, we've heard a lot of news like this. We've heard a lot of these stories about ETFs, about trade and desk, and honestly, you know, even though that seems like it's under good development right now, we've seen this before. So do you guys think that this could actually be the one that makes that change in the boost of pushing crypto forward in the big institutional investor space, or what? What do you guys think about this? And we could just fall in.
Well, the way I see it,
Blues?
You know, like it depends on when they say crypto trading desk, it depends on what products they're actually trading. So you know, that's why like something like Backed, which is actually requiring people to have and hold the real asset of Bitcoin, is kind of bullish. But you know, when you have these quote unquote institutional or legacy markets or investors getting in, you know, what are they going to be trading? Are they going to be trading derivative products? Like what what's that look like? I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty clear that the amount of attention that institutions, corporations, governments are putting into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, that this is not just, Beanie Babies. It's not going to just go away. There's too much money invested and time and attention into just the general market that this is the infrastructure being laid down. But you don't. I don't think it's just they open and all of a sudden the price goes up. You're gonna
need yeah, and that's what people think, right? They think that once this shit opens, it's just Bitcoin is just gonna fly out the fucking roof, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I think they even said that they've been mining Bitcoin for years now. So it's not like they will start buying Bitcoin tomorrow or something like that. They aren't gonna pump your bags in 2 days or 3 days. So they're not that
and
down.
That's another thing that I think about.
That's just the meme.
So do you think when these institutional people open up these big desks or whatever, do you guys really think that this is the first time that the people in those groups are trading cryptocurrency? Like, nah, come on, man. Big money is in it. No. It's just
they're doing it, but it's not official. So
exactly.
Yeah, they're not reporting it since there isn't even a legal exchanges to do that. So yeah, they do it, but in the background, in the underground. So yeah.
I wasn't actively looking when this news dropped, but did this news cause any movement in price on the new stablecoin Bitcoin?
No really, man. Causing any movement, positive or negative at this point.
What'd you say?
I mean, you've seen Bitcoin like in the last 10 days or so. It's just been in the same range, so nothing special happened. It's the new stablecoin,
and we're gonna get it's a new stablecoin, right? And we definitely gonna get into that a little bit later. But yeah, so these developments is definitely good news. Let's not get it twisted. It's definitely good news, and it's definitely good to see a name like Fidelity combined with cryptocurrency. But I just don't think that this is what's gonna go back and break all-time highs right now. It's good developments. But we shall see. We don't actually know, right? So with that being said, we're gonna get on to the next topic, which deals with another big name in the crypto space, and that is Coinbase. So Coinbase has been killing it, whether people like it or not, because of the fees and all of this shit. They list the new coins. They're expanding their little API services and all that shit, and they're just making a better crypto buying experience all around. But now they just announced, and Ran Neuner, I think that's his name, from CNBC, he informed us that Coinbase is about to announce its first IPO. So basically, if anybody is not familiar, I don't assume anybody knows everything. If anybody is not familiar with an IPO, that's the initial product offering. Did I get that P right? Public initial public offering. See, I don't even know. That's why I got these dudes on the podcast. That's the rum and the whiskey getting to me. But anyway, it's similar to an ICO, which is initial coin offering. But now this is on the traditional stock markets, and now Coinbase is so Friday they announced it, and they said that they, as per the weekend, the California-based crypto exchange has seen 90 million in revenue last quarter, with expectations to earn 450 million in the last quarter of 2018. And then they said that they already hinted about it in late 2017. And then they said in early October, two unnamed sources familiar with the matter, they said they were going to finalize a deal about $8 billion, right? And then it says the crypto exchange was allegedly in talks with Tiger Global and its current shareholders for an investment of up to 500 million. So I guess my main question is, when this thing goes live, if they go public, are you guys buying in? And how do you think that will fare on the traditional stock market with a crypto centered company on there? Like, what do you guys think?
So with this, like this sort of stuff I think is really quite positive for the space because it allows people to, I guess, expose part of their portfolio to cryptocurrency without directly exposing to cryptocurrency.
Exactly. I like that.
So these guys don't need to come in and actually start putting money into crypto. They just need to put money into Coinbase, and have trust that Coinbase know what they're doing within the space. Which, like you said at the start of this, right? Whether you love them or hate them, these guys know what they're doing. And they're doing it well. So I think it's going to be a very positive thing, and I think they're going to do really well if they actually do run this IPO.
Hell yeah, KJ, what you think about this? I'm in the Coinbase IPO.
Yeah, I mean, it's not financial advice, but my guess is it will probably perform well. At the same time, I haven't looked into their fundamentals as far as like debt and all that, but I would assume at the end of the day, like at least in America, Coinbase is the leader. As they start to add more tokens, it's just a matter of keeping in alignment with U.S. regulation. It is kind of that's your risk. But all the verbiage and the language coming out of like the U.S. government is more of taking like an even hand approach. So I don't think they're just going to shut it down. But it's always dangerous when you invest in a company that from a government or regulatory standpoint, one signature can basically change their business. And there is risk there, but at the end of the day, like if you believe that cryptocurrency is going to continue to grow, which I think many of us do, investing in Coinbase is probably a pretty strong way to expose yourself to that market without taking the crazy risk of altcoins.
With the risk here, the risk that I see with this is not what they're doing now and what they're going to be doing in the future. It's what they did to get to where they are. So we all know, sitting in the space, that Coinbase, they put some pretty shady shit over the years, right? Like we've seen them, we've seen them like coins just get bought up like moments before they announce that they're going to list it. So
the Bitcoin cash pump, right?
Exactly it, right? So my thing here is that I'm a big believer that people need to take really big calculated risks to I guess really put themselves in a position like Coinbase have. So it's just a matter of whether they've cleaned all that up well enough so that it doesn't come back to bite them in the ass. But moving forward, I think because they've got the money now, like you said, 90 million last quarter, there's no need for these guys to be shady anymore. There's no need for these guys to start listing questionable coins that the US might deem to be a security of too high risk, whatever it may be. So if they've cleaned up their act, I think this is going to go really well. I don't think there's going to be any problems.
Yeah, I mean, you have the always the possible threat of a hack or some sort of some sort of breach there could be devastating. If they were to get hacked, the stock would crash hard.
Definitely.
I mean, exchanges. You got to think about it that way. So.
Didn't I just see something a couple of days ago with something about Coinbase and like security tokens or some shit? Did somebody see that too? Or was I just tripping?
They're definitely planning to, step into that arena.
Yeah.
I
think they want to start something like offering security tokens in the future.
Yeah, and they mentioned a specific coin and how it'd be the first security token traded on Coinbase Pro or some shit. Does anybody that's in the live chat? Does anybody know what I'm talking about, or am I just going crazy? Speaking of the live chat, I always like to talk to them. Do we got any questions in the live chat right now?
No.
People rocking with us?
I'm just staying high.
Y'all sleep, man. Pop up them questions. If you're listening right now, get in that live chat, ask questions. We got Korean Jew on the line, bro. Y'all better take advantage of this.
From Discord. So yeah.
Well, what's the question from Discord?
We got a question for Jake. Yeah. So the question says, you've been very upfront about being too bullish and way too caught up in the hype cycle and having to get wrecked and learn from it. So it would be useful to the others to have that story out there so they know that even big names got hit hard. Because I remember you tweeted about that at some point in April, in May or June, something like that.
Yeah, it was probably around May, June, or no, not May. May was leading up to consensus. Everything was going well. I was, at all-time high. People were talking about it was a bear market, but we were still doing well. But you know, it just kind of everything obviously crashed, took big hits, and it was kind of like I had to go back and really reassess, and it took me a while to mentally and emotionally recover from that. So you got to think of it this way: when everybody wants, a lot of followers and clout and all that shit, but at the end of the day, like it's tough to make calls. There's a tremendous amount of pressure out there, and people ask you questions. Sometimes you don't want to answer the questions because you don't know. Like they'll say, "What do you think this coin's going to be in a year?" And it's like in crypto, it's really, really hard to gauge that. But I'm not making excuses. That's just the truth. And when things don't work out for you, it's like you're losing money, and then you have the pressure and the responsibility of people that listen to your calls and then now blame you, and they get very upset. So rightfully so, I understand where they're coming from. But at the end of the day, like that personally took a big toll on me. It was something where I needed to go back to the drawing board, figure out where I had messed up, and rebuild myself. So, at the end of the day, I was lucky, or not lucky. I mean, I decided when alts were really starting to look bad that, okay, I've taken a major hit, but at some point, like I need to start trading, because the market is still volatile. You can get these 10-20% swings like all day. And, the reality was at that point, it looked very bleak. I didn't expect, okay, I'm going to keep holding ICX and get a 10X. That's not happening anytime soon. So I can either hold and do nothing, or I could take a proactive approach and become a better trader again. See, like in the beginning, like around September, October of last year, everybody was saying the market was so great. I mean, September, people were exiting the market. Big Twitter accounts were tweeting exit all crypto markets. When China flooded.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, it was a rough time, but I was trading. I wasn't hodling. I wasn't, I was trading, and I built my stack during that period so that when the bull run came, I had more firepower, and I was in the right coins and made huge gains. But had I not traded well during September and October, then I wouldn't have had as much firepower to make that big gain. So basically, I had to switch back to Southpaw and become a trader again. And it was very humbling, but at the same time, I'm better for it.
So with that,
and I'm glad that
you traded well in the September bear market. What was different then for May, June, say this time?
Okay, so September bear market, I didn't have first off, I didn't have a group. I didn't have a Telegram with all these people. I didn't even have Twitter. I was just somebody that was able to spend my time researching, being in all these Discord groups, Telegram groups, finding the gems that nobody was talking about, getting in and making plays. And I hit on a few good ones. Then I started to do YouTube. But now it's kind of like I have to go back to the basics, and I'm hungry again. And having a better feel for the market. The bottom line was last September, I was fucking hungry. And in May, I was fat and lazy, like from a metaphorical.
I think a little bit of everybody.
You know what I'm saying?
Real shit.
Money. I was overconfident. I was not hungry from a financial standpoint. And I got, it can happen very quickly. You get fucking destroyed and knocked on your ass. And now you have to rebuild yourself. And it's like, I talk to people all the time, and it's like, look, this happened. You got killed on this. I got killed on that. At the end of the day, we can't go back and change the past and keep dwelling on. All we can control is now. And are we going to change? Or are we going to bitch about what happened? And I decide I got to change. I got to continue to grow. And I recommend you do the same, or else you're going to die in this market.
Exactly. And I'm glad that we even talking about this because like no matter what you're investing in, or no matter what you like to do, whether that's playing sports or doing anything, the game changes. You can't do the same thing that you did last year, and especially in the crypto market, you can't do the same thing and expect that formula to work. You got to go back to the drawing board. You got to learn where you fucked up, and you got to learn get a new strategy, right? And I'm glad that, and man, I'm so glad that we got you on the show, KJ, today, because you are one of the few people that whenever you drop one of your gems, I'm not in the dojo yet. I'm still saving up my pennies, man. I'm still saving up to get up in there. But no. Whenever you drop a hint about something, I'll actually go look at it, and 9 times out of 10, I might buy in once I find a good entry, because I know I know you've done great research on the project. Another good gem finder is CryptoGat. Shout out to CryptoGat. I don't give a fuck about what y'all think of these guys. They do their research, and they do hard work. And and I follow it. When you mentioned Walton, I got into Walton. I even got in so much that I even got a master node in Walton, and did we take a hit? Yeah, did we take a hit over this year? Yeah, but shit's paying off, and you got to decide what you want to do with your portfolio, what you want to keep, and what you want to move around. But I see people asking you all the time on Twitter, like, "Oh, what happened to this coin? You're not in it no more." And you'll tell them straight up, you'd be like, "No, I'm not in it. Did you just see it just dumped like 20-30%? Like, why would I be in it right now?"
I think
so.
That you've got to, if you're posting calls on Twitter, you kind of got to say, "Look, I'm stopped out as well," or put your stop up there, kind of, because some people kind of are looking at these big accounts for advice, and
yeah, even if it's strong,
they should be, but they do.
Some game, and my calling card, I've always tried to be early. Like, I wanted to be in coins that hadn't moved, that didn't have attention, and get in, so that when I tweet it, if people FOMO in, even if it goes up 20-30%, at the end of the day, they're still in a great position, because in my based off my research, I think that it can grow way higher. And that was my strategy. So what would happen was coins would go off, and they would do, especially during the bull market, obviously, but even not during, like, some coins would do 5x in a week or something like that. I mean, it's happening now. You still see it. Look at Raven popping off. But
fucking Raven.
What will happen? We were all over that. But at the end of the day, like, you get in early, and when the coin pops off, people ask me, "Hey, thoughts? What do you think about this coin?" And I'm like, "Look, too high." I never wanted to. Once the coin's gone, it's gone. You missed it. You got to find the next one. But nevertheless, people would still go in, and then when they get dumped on, they come running to me. What do you think about this? Like, you got to trade. You have to. If my entry did 10x and you got in late, I don't know what you want from me. If you people on Twitter, you're always going to be on the losing side. I promise you that. You have to do your own research.
Yeah.
This mindset that you can't catch everyone. If you miss something, you just have to work even harder to find the next one. And then when it gets hot, you get the fuck out. I understand this whole notion of keeping a moon bag and whatnot, because it could do 100x or whatever. But let's say you bought Raven at 200 sats, it goes to 1,000. And you want to keep a moon bag, but some of these people's moon bag is 50% of the position or more. That's not a fucking moon bag, guys. Like,
that's half your position, man.
You got to look at the climate of the market, and don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If I mean, at the same time, you ride the hot hand too. Some coins can outperform the whole market. So I understand keeping a moon bag, but at the end of the day, when a coin goes parabolic like Raven, there's almost always at least a 20 or 30% retrace. So if you really want to keep that moon bag, still sell it, buy back cheaper. But
exactly.
Some people.
I'm glad we even talking about this, because even on this show, man, that's when you got to do your own research. Even on this show, we've had a combination of all types of people. We got KJ here today that has blatantly told you that he's not a pro in charts and all of that shit. He just goes and does his research and make good calls and get in before everybody else. We got TA pros like Crypto Cred and Crypto Orangutan. So how about y'all go and look at some of their informational material, go in their Telegram and Discord, learn how to trade, and combine it with, you know, somebody like KJ's cause and all of that shit, and then you won't have to worry about getting dumped on, and then you won't have to worry about being babysitted because you know how to do shit yourself. So, and that's another plug.
Hey, those guys.
You should check out Trader Main as well. I hear he's pretty cool.
Oh shit! Here this motherfucker go, Trader Man. We got Trader Man in the building, man. What the fuck is up? So yeah, so now we got the full cast. So yeah, even Trader Man, he has a whole Discord for free where you can learn how to trade. You can take calls from Korean Jew, and you can learn how to trade from Trader Man, and then you can do your own shit. You don't have to worry about getting calls from nobody else. You can just play the game like that. I've even done that, and it's been working out quite well. So hey, man, we can lead you to the water, but we can't make you drink it, right? So
at the end of the day, if you're in crypto, most people that are in crypto, like that, especially that are still in it, are completely addicted to this. You know, it consumes you. So if you're going to put so much time, effort, and money into this, why not be as complete as possible? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you not take advantage and you know, learn how to really trade and be exposed to BitMEX or whatever you're going to do, but play the whole game. I've always believed that, you know, the hungry person is going to make money no matter what. So like if you look back last year before BitMEX was really prominent, you know, people were doing ICOs, people were trading on IDEX and Ether Delta, and you had these noobs that were only on Coinbase and Bittrex, and they were missing out on everything. They're like, I don't want to make that. I don't want to do this. And it's just, the game just keeps evolving. And if you're too lazy to grow with it, you're going to get left behind.
I mean, even now with the bear market, a lot of people, I've seen that many times now. After 8 months of bear market, a lot of people, just by seeing the coin like up 20% or 3%, 30%, they just say, "Yeah, I missed it, man. Like it moved, but it just moved like 30%." If in reality, like the coin has momentum, so you just take advantage of it. You wait on a dip, on a retracement, on a support level, and you buy in. And since the momentum is with that coin, you will get faster returns than with another coin still accumulating. You don't know when it's gonna wake up. So sometimes you're gonna play the momentum too. It's not only about accumulating and there is also taking how you take profits, but that's a whole another story.
And that's crazy that you even said that. All right, say what you got to say, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic, KJ.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to know when to FOMO. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it works. And just like he says, you know, it's all about momentum.
Yeah. So that brings me to the next topic, and then it's actually interesting that you guys, man, see, this shit just flows so great with this cast, bro. Like you Blues, you just said that you got to know size positions, you got to know how you should go about alt pumps. So that brings me to my next question that I had. So with all, as you may know, Bitcoin has been, you know, stable this last couple of weeks or whatever, however you want to say it. But with that stabilization, altcoins have been pumping. I've seen, I mean, I even got some calls that we had in the dog pound that have done 50, 100%. I know KJ got some calls that have been going crazy, raving, all that stuff. So for the people that are listening right now, we got all of you pro guys on this chat. How do you go about alt pumps and when these times are coming in, specifically like size positions, low cap, mid cap, high cap? Like, how do you guys, like, if you had, okay, this is a scenario. If you had, let's just throw out a nice even round. If you had 10K right now to get into some altcoins, right? Like how would you go about like sizing your positions and what cap coins to go in and all of that stuff?
I'd go five. I'd go 5 coins. I'd go $2,000 on each coin. My initial buying would be $1,000 at the entry I wanted, and another 1,000 a bit below. I'd set a stop loss. If there's a below support, I'd set a stop loss below that. If that is the support, below that, and just play it from there. And obviously look at the chart, find where the resistance are. I normally try to take out a little bit at 100%. just because that's how I trade. Sometimes I'm not going to make 100%. If it looks like it's only going to do 80, I'll pull it out there. With alts, I think it's good to put, just say if you had $2,000 in one, $500 at a 5x or something like that, in case it does hit. If not, you've still got 75% of your position in it. You've already made cash on. Like, it doesn't matter. Move on to the next.
Yeah. What about you, KJ? I know you playing with that big boy money over there. What you think?
Well, honestly, like you touch on BTC being a stable coin, and we look, it can be deceptive because you're seeing these low cap, 5 million, 10 million cap coins go off right now, and it creates the illusion that there is strength in the market, that something's happening. But if you look at the overall market cap, we've been bouncing between the 205 and 210 billion total cap for the past couple weeks, and no real new money has entered per se. And the top 25 coins, aside from maybe one or two, not even, for the most part, the top 25 has remained stagnant at best. So most of them are bleeding. And what's happening is people are selling their high cap coins and buying these low cap shit coins. So at the end of the day, when there's low volume and low volatility in Bitcoin, a move is coming. So if I had 10K to put in right now, I would still be targeting low caps, like below 25 million, preferably, that haven't moved, that are showing this clear accumulation on their charts on a high time frame. So like when you look at some of these coins, you can see there are certain levels, and you look week after week after week, it won't close below that level. If you can get in at that level, you're in great shape. You know what I'm saying? So I think right now it is a time to be more patient and wait for the move, because if whichever direction BTC moves, it's most likely going to be violent and will probably open up better entries for some of these alts. So I would say I don't mind opening up some positions on some of these low cappers, but I wouldn't use all 10K right away. I would probably hold half of it and keep an eye out. So I know it's a shitty answer, but
no, that's real shit. Because you know what? Somebody in the Dog Pound, they earlier this week, I think Stacking Bits and Keo, they were having a conversation in the trading channel, and they were saying, I think Stacking Bits was saying that he's been looking at the altcoin market cap, and he's been noticing that a lot of these low cap coins, they're pumping right now, but he's been noticing that the total market cap has been staying for altcoins has been staying relatively around the same. So he was saying that he thinks that people are just moving a lot of their profits. Yeah, people are moving a lot of their profits into these low cap coins, which coincides to what you are talking about, KJ. About I remember, I just vividly remember this tweet that you tweeted out a couple of days ago, that you were saying that if it's not under 25 mil market cap, you don't want to look at it right now. And I think that goes hand in hand with what Stacking Bits was talking about in the chat earlier this week.
So like Icon. All these mid caps that are like 200 million or 100 million, 150 million, like those will move when BTC moves. It takes too much money. And a clear indication for me was when ZRX was listed on Coinbase, and, I think the price, it was kind of cooked in, but it went up, but the move was kind of underwhelming, and there wasn't enough money to pump it. So at that point, it really signaled to me, all right, big caps will not move until BTC shows some real strength. So
with this market at the moment, the way that I say this and the way that I look at it is all these pops that we're seeing on these small caps, this is just people messing about trying to stack more Bitcoin. So like with the exception of Raven, and this
don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in that trap, guys.
Exactly it, right? So the way that I play these
and just keep accumulating.
That's it, right? You keep accumulating. But the way I play these is it's literally a matter of finding the coins that haven't popped, putting money into it before Twitter starts going crazy about it. The second that pop happens, take your profits out. It's that simple. They're like
important to see where the catalysts are, what it looks like, and what the new trend is. So like one thing I've noticed was I'm starting to see some action on IDEX again. And IDEX had been dead for probably about 4 months. But
wait, KJ, how do you how do you gauge that? How do you gauge, like you just said, I'm starting to see some action on that? Are you just like individually he said I'm on there. Like what are you looking at though? Are you looking at the total volume of all decks or what?
Yeah, well,
or what?
Yeah. So there was a coin called Own, which I didn't own, sadly. That popped off. The volume is still kind of low, but I was seeing certain coins. So there was a couple that I was looking at, like this one UBT, which had been from a weekly range between 6,000 and 6,800 metallics, and it just been in that range for a very long time. And I'm like, I don't know. I saw this Own pop off. I saw a Quant do like a 10x. SNTR was doing well. There were some where in the past, or at least the past 4 months, it was rare that you saw really anything happening on there. And so UBT, I was like, yeah, this looks good. Even on my Periscope, I did earlier in the week, it was about 6,800 or 6,700. I said, this thing, it seems like it's bottoming out. And, it was up to 10,000 today. So I'm starting to see that. And, Charter was another one. So
Harder. I've been looking at that one.
Yeah, a lot of these coins are like 2 million caps. So there was a ton of action going on Ogre. And now I'm starting to think that maybe that's pivoting over to IDEX. So,
hey, my man Blues, he got an Ogre pick. Matter of fact, since we're talking about that right now, but before I get into these altcoin picks, Trader Main, I know we're gonna get back to you a little bit later. Are you still there? Are you in altcoins right now? What you doing right now?
I'm here, bro. I'm not one who trades like very many altcoins that you would find on places like IDEX and Binance and stuff like that. I'm mostly just like margin trading, if you can even call it that right now, based on the range we're in. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum and like maybe Ripple or like Cardano occasionally, anything that's on MEX, really. I have a few altcoins. But I don't have the attention span. Maybe that's it, to just like track this much shit between like following Bitcoin and Ethereum so closely, and then also trading Forex. For me, I would way rather track 10 different Forex pairs than try and track 10 different altcoins that might pump. And if they do pump, you better take profits within like 2 to 3 days before it crashes again. It's just not it's not my game. More power to people who have the ability to do that. But the principles remain the same. And I tell people the same thing. I still try and post charts for people on Twitter being like, hey, remember to take profits. Like, we're very much in a macro, downtrend. So if you buy a coin and it goes 100% and you haven't taken a profit yet and you think it's going to go 1,000x, like, you're dumb. But, I try and advise people that way, just saying, hey, if coins are pumping right now, there's been a lot of mini alt seasons in this entire bear market. So by all means, there's been money to be made. It's not something for me, but it's as simple as, marking support. And when price comes down there and it looks like it's making a higher low or starting an uptrend, maybe it's a good time to buy. And usually once the uptrend started, that's when you'll see it getting chilled on Twitter. And that's when you're kind of already too late to the party. But I don't know. It's funny, like seeing a lot of people talk about altcoins right now. I hope that most of these people are people who are buying coins at the floor, letting them pump 50, 70, 80%, taking profits. Because if you bought an altcoin in December, I don't care if it did 100% yesterday, it's still down like 800%. So like if you're down 90%, if you're down 90% from all-time high and then you're bragging about like 100% pump yesterday, it's like, dude, you need a 900% pump to get to break even. So like it's an interesting place, altcoins. And to me, just with where Bitcoin is right now, I would be very cautious if I'm at it. If anything, as a trader, I'm risk averse. As weird as it sounds, being someone who trades, I'm very risk averse. I don't like trading altcoins because if Bitcoin drops $300 tomorrow, all of these alt pumps are going to get erased.
Are going to hell.
Yeah. So to me, it's just like, a lot of people are like, oh, here's the floor. I was like, that's great. But if Bitcoin goes to $5,000, there is no floor. So it's by all means, like when Bitcoin is going sideways and pumping, get in on the altcoin action. Just don't be dumb. Pay yourself, take profits at logical areas, and then that way you'll have more capital to reinvest for, the next run.
And that's one thing. Like in March and April, I believe it was, like Bitcoin was still up at like getting like what $9,000, $7,000 kind of thing. and alts were pumping properly then, and we're sitting down here at like 6K, like 6.4, and it can go either way kind of thing. So I'd be very cautious with alts as well.
Just to piggyback on
yeah.
also, being that we're looking at these low cap coins because that's what the trend is right now. Remember, if your position's too big and it doesn't go well, you're going to be stuck in it for a long time because there won't be enough buy volume or demand to get out. So you definitely, I like the approach of diversifying. If you're going to play the low cap coins, don't put too much into one, where you can get trapped. But one question for me, and I mean, do you think we put the yearly low in yet, or do you think we're going to break it?
So it's very tough for me to say because I'm not in the business of trying to pick like the low. Like I'm not going to go on Twitter and be like, this is the low, I'm buying here. And if you're not buying, you're stupid. But it for me, from a TA perspective, 6K should have either broken by now or be breaking soon. Just
wait. Save that one. Save that one, man. You know we got your spotlight coming.
Okay, I'll save it.
Yeah. I want you to get into that in a couple of minutes. But right now, since we are talking about altcoins, let's do some highlights. And since we got the sensei of the dojo here, we're gonna do some highlights on some of his calls too. But in the dog pound over the last couple of weeks, we got my man Blues, man. Blues been going off, bro. He called, speaking of these low caps, he's called XTL. XTL, that has been, he called it before Twitter started doing all of this crazy shit on it. And I don't know where he got it from, but it's done. What has it done since you called it like a week or so ago?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it in the dog pound with the miners in the miners channel. It was at 3 sats, but I didn't buy there. I bought a bit higher when it was 8 sats. Yeah, I bought when 8 sat and shelled it there. And we got it having a 2x this week. Yeah, it didn't. It failed to pump above it, but it's still a good profit.
Hey, 2x is 2x, bro.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a nice,
people are listening.
2 weeks. We've got a nice 2 weeks, like with mainframe, with Storm,
with
Storm.
Yeah.
I think mainframe went 40 to 50% since you called it. 50%, and then we got my man Stacking Bits. He's been going off too. He called ARN, which is over 100% since he called it in the dog. Yeah. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. Whenever I say they called it, I don't give exactly like, oh, they called it at this price, blah blah blah. But most of the time, like you just heard Blue said, these guys are not catching the exact bottoms. You don't have to catch the exact bottom of a coin to make some good profits. Just like he said, he saw it at 5 sats, but he didn't buy in until 8 sats. You don't have to catch the exact bottom. Wait until you get a nice confirmed bounce or a nice confirmed uptrend before you enter, and you can still make some good profits. So yeah, those are some of the calls. Let's go. Let's go to you, KJ. What's going on in the dojo, bro?
So I mean, being that there's so many great traders in there, everybody has their own call. So we've had a little piece of a lot of these different plays, but I would say currently, like you should be focusing rather than the coins that already went crazy on the ones that haven't yet. So I have a couple that I'm looking at, like one that I saw. Which ones have y'all called that did some work over the last week? I think I saw you talking about some on Twitter. I mean, we've been on Raven since before it was listed on Bittrex. So shout out to Shavi and Stillman who do excellent research, but they've been bullish on Raven for a very long time now. So obviously we were a part of that. We were part of this other one called A-Pot, which is still ongoing.
That's the one that I want you to talk about. That's the one.
I don't think it's done yet. I mean, there's definitely risk involved because it's definitely a Ponzi. But
explain to them what's going on with A-Pot and what it is and why you like it so much.
So in Korea, wash trading and market making is a very big deal. And they had an influx of these new exchange tokens that have all these different incentives to trade there. So A-Pot the reason why I like it was it had a somewhat unique concept, but a tried and true model of paying people a dividend. It reminded me of KuCoin. So KuCoin went crazy last year, obviously, but APOD is a decentralized exchange. It's backed by the company that owns Upbit, and Upbit is actually advertising the token APOT. The name of the exchange is Allbit. So it's a decentralized exchange. It pays the market makers for wash trading. And then it pays the APOT token holders a dividend for holding the token. And they pay the dividend not in APOT token, but ETH. And the dividend usually ends up about 0.8% or 1% daily. Now, I've noticed that there is a correlation between the dividend and the price of the token. So if there's more wash trading going on, the token obviously goes up. So the reason why I like it is I'm just holding it right now. I'm getting my 1% a day, my 0.8%, whatever it is. And I'm just waiting on, that listing. They just announced today, I believe, that they will be listed on an exchange with a Korean won pairing. So being listed on another exchange on sometime before November will definitely strike as a catalyst. I'm just holding on. I'm going full Ponzi. So with my dividend, I'm buying more of it, and I'm waiting for that big move. And if the move comes, it's like in the meantime, I'm getting 1% a day every day. And, if then on top of that, the token grows, then you definitely have a winning trade there. I mean, there's definitely risk involved, but I like the model. I feel like these guys know what they're doing, and they have some really good market makers on there, wash trading the shit out of it. And it's an interesting play for sure.
And that's why, bro. That's why I fuck with you, bro. You ain't scared of taking that chance, dog. I will give that to you. I like that shit.
So the coin,
that shit.
It's funny because I gave some entries of levels. I said like 48,000, 42,000, 35,000. It hit 35,000. I'm like, all right, that's a great entry right there. People were panicking, and then today it jumped right back up to 50. So, if you got in at 35 or below, like the ROI is really, really nice, especially when you factor in the daily dividend. So I do like it. Anywhere below
there
40.
You go, man. We got people. Yeah, anywhere below 40, and you blatantly mentioned that. And hey, we dropping gems over here on this Friday night, man. So I hope you guys are listening. Do we got anything going on in the chat right now? In the chat, any questions?
No.
Someone said, "Who's this Korean Jew?"
Hey, do your research, bro. I think they over there trolling. They know who he is. and if they don't know who he is, it don't matter who he is. He dropping knowledge right now, just like everybody else on this damn
Mr. Eon for 60 cents. That's who I am, motherfucker.
Yeah. Let's talk that shit. I love this shit.
Most of my entries,
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Like most of my entries did like 50x. And like, if you didn't make money, then that's on you. But like, literally, I've met with people in person that are like, "Yo, you made me a millionaire. You changed my life." That's the rewarding shit. And
that's
people,
that's
they'll dig into old calls and they'll pick something out. Hey, you fucked up on. But at the end of the day, like I have way more than I did when I started. And if you followed my calls, you would still be performing at an extremely exceptional level. So at the end of the day,
I just wanted to say that. Just wanted to say that everything that gets you dividends is automatically a security token. So it's
not a
you should be careful with this because but since as long as you know what you're doing, so there's no.
I mean, technically,
and that's more
the 20s and the ICO tokens.
You gotta be careful. So even if you talk about it, like you've gotta say to the people as it is because it's very risky. Like 1% return a day. So
it's Trevon James. Be careful.
Yeah, it ended bad for him, bro. It ended up very bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, BitConnect was something I had no part in at all. Ever.
Just to be clear.
I never killed the link. I never did anything. But I had friends that actually invested in it, and they tried to get me to do it. They're like, you can make it. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just so obviously a Ponzi that's gonna, go away. And I kind of joke about A-Pot calling it a Ponzi, but at that point, the people that invested, they said, yeah, no, I know it's a Ponzi, but if it works out for a little while, I'm going to make a fantastic return. The reason why I feel more comfortable with this play is that it's an actual exchange. The model is fairly straightforward. Basically, the exchange is not. They're distributing all of their transaction fees to the holders up until January 7th. And, that gives us a month and a half. Now, am I going to wait till January 5th to get out? Because once that transaction fee thing is over and the dividends are gone, I don't see a reason to hold the token. So there will be people will get left holding the bag. You have to be aware of that. Do your research. Don't just go in. But can I hold something for 2-3 weeks, get 1% each day, get growth on the token, get out?
Can't leave that on the table, bro.
Why?
Yeah, you gotta be very.
And so the thing is, anything discussed on this show is definitely not financial advice. So invest in your own risk. So we don't need you coming back over here crying to so and so, talking about you heard about this and that, and now you wrecked and all of that shit. Hey, invest at your own risk. So maybe you might want to invest in the next topic, which is stable coins, right? So what the fuck is going on with all of these damn stable coins? And this is gonna be just a short little talk before we get into my man Trader Main's BTC analysis. But what's going on? We got USDC, we got PAX, we got USDT, we got True USD. What is going on, and why do we need so many stable coins? Like, why? See, like nobody knows, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, everyone is. They just realize that it's a big market. If you see the Tether volume, and they're making good money off it from the fees, from a lot of things. So yeah, everyone now wants to share in the market, but it's getting a lot crowded. We have seen a lot of stable coins now, more than 4 and 5. Okay, we have the Circle USD, we have the USD Tether, we have the TUSD. I mean, even yesterday we've got like an Ethereum token that is pegged to Bitcoin value. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I saw that.
What the fuck is
this?
Yeah,
like so.
I mean, I would understand the stable coins in USD, but why in Bitcoin? What's the point?
Exactly. So my thing is, like, even if we take that aside, what would make me want to, like, if stable coins are my thing, if I'm trading Bitcoin or whatever and the market is highly volatile and it's dropping and Bitcoin is dumping and I don't want to lose it, what would make me want to go into TUSD or Tether or USDC or PAX compared to all of the other ones that I just named? Well, like, do you guys have a input on that? Like, why would I want to go into one or the other?
Yeah, I think
with these stable coins, I don't know exactly what. I have it on my list to do some more research next week. This week's been a busy week outside of crypto, but like, I can't help but think there's some underlying motive as to why this is happening now and why all of a sudden we just had this huge influx of these stable coins come into the market at the same time. So I can't help but feel there's an ulterior motive here as to why it's happening. I just don't know what yet. But I'm going to roll up some joints next week and I'm going to figure it out. And I'll
yeah. I fuck with that. We can. Well, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, the main reason of having stable coins is to get yourself out of the crypto volatility. So instead of going into fiat and facing risk of taxes and all this shit. But yeah, I'm going back to your question. So differences, I don't see real differences in them because they're all pegged to USD in the same system. Because for one token you have $1 in the reserves. Well, they should have $1 in the reserves. It's like and you have some differences in the source code. Like for example, for Circle USD, we've got since they're compliant and all this shit, they could block addresses. So even if you have Circle USD in your wallet, you maybe someday the government decides to block your address. But they have control over this, so you gotta be very careful with these coins. For example, yeah, for Circle USD they have this feature. It might be good, and they implemented it to avoid every criminal cases, and since it's compliant, it's like USD but in the blockchain. So that's why they justified them implementing this function. But you've gotta be you've gotta be aware of this shit, because before running into Circle USD. Yeah. So
the other thing was there was an article up recently about Tether. So I read it, and again I flagged it to go back to it when I get some time. But they were talking about how Tether is now burning their supply.
Yeah, they burned 500 million. Yeah, it was redeemed.
Yeah, so people are redeemed, right? So every time they do this, they're effectively taking that money, supposedly taking the US dollar out of their bank account, right, and effectively cashing out. So that was the whole reason why I said what I said about it's just this big coincidence that they're all coming at the same time, because we know that Tether have, they have a lot of FUD, whether it's true or not, I have no idea. But it seems so convenient that all these stable coins come into the market and then Tether start redeeming some of this stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you could speculate about this too. I mean, which coincidence is it? Like the moment they all start their stable coins, you've got some FUD on Tether. There is. Yeah. I don't think this is a coincidence. So
that's crazy.
So
I didn't even think about that.
You've got to think about it yourself. I'm not about to say it, but yeah, you've got to imagine what these guys are up to. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. How often do you guys? One last question about this topic. How often do you guys go into stable coins whenever trading? Like, when is the scenario that you guys are like, oh shit, I'm gonna go into Tether or whatever?
I personally never have. I probably should have. I would have a bigger stack now, but I never did.
People like KJ and TraderMain. How often are you guys going into Tether or a stable coin whenever Bitcoin is acting like weak shit?
So I've done. Oh, sorry. You want to go for it, man? Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Personally, I don't do it too often. I have done it before. On like a site like Bitfinex, like on BitMEX, I'll just open like a 1x long or short in whatever direction I think price might go, just to hedge my stack. That way you're kind of covering yourself for directional risk. But for the most part, it's not something I do. I mean, to me, as much as I'm a trader, I think Bitcoin is going to be worth more than $6,000 within the next like 1 to 4 years. And I know that's a big range, but to me, to own Bitcoin at 6K, if it goes down to 5,000 and I was still holding it from 6K, I'm not going to be too cheesed about it.
Yeah, that was actually a dumb question from me to you, trader, because I know that you are a BitMEX pro and you'll just short the shit out of it. But for KJ, like how often are you going back and forth to Tether, or do you even fuck with it at all?
It's quite rare. Similar to trader, main, like nowadays I would open 1x leverage short if I was feeling that way. But if I have BTC on exchanges and I think like BTC is going to make a dip, then I would go to Tether at that point, because if BTC makes that dip, altcoins are going to follow. And if you're able to be in Tether or whatever stable coin you want, and the move works out, then you can buy BTC, or you could buy alts that are paired with Tether. You could buy BTC, then buy the alts, and it ends up being a really nice kind of clean trade sometimes. But it's not something I do too often. It has to be a real situation where things just feel trappy. So like, for instance, when we were up to like 7,000, 7,300, whatever in that range, and if you look at like the long time frame, it hindsight's 2020, but at the time it looked like this is where this is going to stop. We were being propped up on Bitfinex by a whale. If you make that play, forget being short, just being in Tether, you know, you can really capitalize. But like Maine said, at the end of the day, being in BTC, that most of the time, unless I'm extremely bearish, which is somewhat rare, I would rather just go to BTC and wait. Because I agree. I think one Bitcoin will be worth more than 6,000 in the future, and my goal is to accumulate more of it.
Hell yeah. So with all of that being said, we are going to move on to our last topic of the day. And y'all know what that is. It's one of my favorite parts of this show, Unleash. Trader Main, you know what time it is, bro. Take that stage if you don't mind, bro. Let's get that BTC outlook.
All right, hold on one sec here.
I know it hasn't been doing too much moving these last couple of weeks, but I know you always got a plan. So
yes, let me just figure out how the fuck to share my screen again.
Don't show them our DMs, bro. Don't show them.
On my whole desktop. What the fuck? All right. If I dox myself, it's not my fault.
Take your time, bro.
Let's go.
All right. You can see my my screen view.
Yeah, we can see that.
Cool. So we'll start with Bitcoin, and we can kind of address a Korean Jew's question there. I mean, question for you: are you actually a Jew?
It would be kind of fucked up if I wasn't, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm a Jew. I'm a fellow member of the tribe, so I respect that.
Man, I'm glad to have Jew friends. That's
so why don't you test me then? Ask me a question
that only a Jew would know. Here's the thing, man. I'm an awful Jew. Other than the money aspects, in that aspect, I'm good. Religiously, I'm terrible.
So am I. But
I got tattoos and piercings and all sorts of dumb shit. But let's talk. Let's talk Bitcoin here. So it's funny. So I mean, I posted this chart a few days ago, and I think I missed the last week's or 2 weeks ago podcast. And I didn't. I mean, you didn't miss anything in price. But you know, I wasn't here, but I'm pretty sure the last one happened around here. And you know, here we are today. So this has to be just looking at it without actually knowing the statistics. I'm going to venture to guess this is probably the lowest volatility Bitcoin may have ever seen, or at least seen in a long ass time. Like these are 3-day candles here, and we've literally done absolutely nothing for the last 12 days. So in technical analysis, you know, small candles lead to big candles, right? Like you see small candles here lead to big candles, small candles lead to big candles, and these are extremely small candles. So Bitcoin is kind of baffling, you know, a lot of people online right now, and I think the reason is because a lot of people want to call the bottom or call 3K, right? Like there's no middle ground, and that's like I've said this before on here, and you know, in my Discord and on Twitter. People, when they make, and Korean Juve comments on this too, it's tough to make calls, right? Like there's a lot of pressure on putting something online, especially when you have an audience, and sticking to it, right? So I mean, for all coins, it's no different than Bitcoin. Like trying to call the Bitcoin bottom, you know, it's not an easy thing to do. And for me personally, it's like, why do I have to call the absolute bottom? So I mean, first of all, this is June, and this is now, right? So this is several months here, and this is basically just a range that we formed here. You know, over several months, we had a slight deviation at the top here, but in reality, price has been ranging between about 7,800 and 6K for like what, 4 or 5 months now. So the fact that people are getting liquidated in this range is absurd to me. Like the fact that, and I'm not saying like, you know, it's easy to trade in a range, but at the end of the day, like you should not be getting fucked up when price has been moving this little. Like price used to have huge moves, right? And now we're just kind of going sideways. And so the logic behind range trading in its simplest form is the market is going to be undervalued. It's going to be at a discount in the lower part of the range, okay? And in the upper part of the range, you can consider the market at a premium. So what does this mean? This means in the lower part of the range, that's where you want to look for longs. And in the upper part of the range, that's where you want to look for shorts. So if you're longing above 6,900, it's like, I mean, it's worked here. but it's not worked as well as longing, you know, down here, and vice versa. Like if you're trying to long in the upper part of this range, you might get fucked up, right? Versus trying to short in the lower part of this range. So to make it super simple, like if you're wondering what to do in this range, like if price is in the lower part of the range, I don't think shorting makes sense. You know, if you think 6K is not going to hold, that's fine. But the R&R to take a short at 6K doesn't make sense.
But they still do it.
So they still do it, right? Never in the history of Bitcoin has shorting 6K worked. Never. Not here, not here, not here, not before the bull run. It has never made sense to short 6K. Does that mean that 6K is going to hold forever and be the ultimate bottom? I don't, of course not. To answer like Kareem Juice's question, like, do I think the yearly low is in? I personally don't think so, but that's because I'm just like a TA maniac, right? Like by all TA standards, this level should be broken by now. Like this level here, which is basically, you know, like this level, this order block, whatever you want to call it, this shit should not be holding anymore. Just it's been tested so many times. I think I drew it on the weekly. This is where my level is. And I've likened it to kind of like a bouncy ball, right? That you drop and the bounce is getting smaller every single time, right? And eventually, you know, it stops bouncing and it just stays on the floor, right? That would be something bottoming me out maybe. Obviously, I would love it if Bitcoin went down here for a lot of reasons, because a lot of people on Twitter who annoy me would get wrecked. So that's great. And I'm petty. So that would be good. I would be able to buy more Bitcoin, you know, at 5,000 or even sub 5,000. I think that's great as well. But the same argument can be made that people are like, okay, well, it's just too easy. A lot of the bears are saying it's too easy to just have 6K to be the bottom, right? Well, it's also too easy just to assume it's going to go to 4,500. You know what I mean? So the market is always going to take the path of least resistance. The question is, what direction is that right now? Just based on purely TA, we're stuck below the 50% of this, you know, high time frame range. My levels that you see everyone draw on Twitter now, that are mine, patent pending, the 50% of the fucking equilibrium that is on every motherfucker's charts now. And I'm more than happy to see that. Like, I want to see people, you know, learning to use TA so they can, you know, lose less money and shit. 6612, I don't think I drew this one perfectly here, but 6612 is the equilibrium of this order block. So in that lesson I did for free on my YouTube there, I basically said above 50% of the order block, that's a good sign. Below, it's a bad sign, right? And, you know, the logic, oh shit, the logic remains the same. Anyone who watches my live streams and stuff just laughs at how bad I am at using computers. Like I'm like a boomer or something.
Ironic, right?
So the logic is the same here, right? So this is my 6,800 level, which is basically almost in line with the 50% of this range. It's acted as a perfect pivot. If you've been longing on a break of this 6,800 level, you've made money. You know, and if you've been shorting when it gets up to it and it doesn't close above the 50%, you've made money every time. So to me, the logic just remains the exact same. We are in this kind of range here. Here are the two main levels I'm watching. This order block right here, which the equilibrium is 68.18. And then I'm watching this order block right here. So as you can kind of see, we're just basically, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's funny that you mentioned that same number, because when was the last time you were on the show, Trader Man? Like about what, two?
It would have been
about a month ago.
Before last, yeah.
Exactly, about a month ago, and I have these numbers, the same exact 6820, which you just said 6818, same shit. I have that same exact number written down, so he's right.
Yeah, and I told you guys like 2 months ago, I said if price does not close above 6818, it's gonna dump, and that's exactly what fucking happened. And the same shit is happening here. As much as, you know, people are saying the long and short ratio, all of this bullshit, to me, all you need to know is for us to go up, we need to close above this green level here. If we close above this green level, there's more upside coming. And if we close below the 50% of this green area here, and we can just draw this one live right now, basically 6 grand on the nose. Like if we get a daily close below 6K, I think we're going to see new yearly lows. And it's as simple as that. I'm not going to take a long-term position on Bitcoin until one of these two levels is breached. To me, it does not make sense to short from here because there's great support here, and it does not make sense to long from here because we might get rejected here. It's as simple as that. Try and keep it simple. My bearish argument is simply this, right? We're below the 50% of that weekly level. We're below the 50% of this range, and we're making consistently lower highs, right? So if we make a lower low below this one, you know, we're fucked. Is as simple as that. So I'm not going to try and say this is the bottom. I'm just going to say, like, hey, if we get down to 6K, I'll look for a long if bullish market structure forms. What's bullish market structure? This is bullish market structure, right? We came down to 6K, we made a low, a high, and then a higher low, right? So if something like that happens here, again, of course, you long it. But if we break through 6K, you know, you can short it. You may not. And so this is where people are silly, like who try and pick the top and bottom, right? Like if we're starting a new bull run from here, which seems to be the only option, people are like, it's either going to death or we're going to all-time high. When in reality, we could go sideways, right? If we're going to go to 20K from here, right? Do you think I really care if I don't get long at 6,400, but I buy here, like on this move or a break of this high? Sure, I didn't get in at 6,400. Maybe I got in at 7,000 to do a new bull run. We're not going to stop at 20K. We're going to make a new all-time high. So that $1,000 difference on the entry, the fact that I had confirmation that we were going up as opposed to getting in early, I'm not going to be fazed by that. And a lot of people need to learn that in their trading. Like, it's okay not to get the absolute bottom or absolute top on a trade. You just want to get the lion's share of the move. And for me, if we're going up, you either long it on a retest of this zone, or if you want to be really sure, when it retests the zone and then breaks the initial high, then you really know it's going. So, you know, same thing on the downside, right? Don't just short it when it gets to here. Wait till it breaks the level, retest, sell the retest, or sell a breakdown on this low. Then you know it's going down, right? Sure, you didn't short at 6,400, but if we're going to 5,000, you'll be just as happy getting in at 6K. At least that's how my mind works. Maybe I'm crazy, but you know, that's how I would kind of trade this range. I'm not really taking any sort of long-term position at all, just because I don't think it makes sense right now. Volatility is basically, you know, nil. A move is coming. What way it's going to go, you're basically guessing at this point. So yeah.
Just on this, can you go to the 1 hour chart quickly, Main?
Sure.
Yeah,
just a quick little shout out to ACX, who's in the dog pound as well. He's a bit more of a scalper, and he's just been trading this range pretty perfectly. If you're a scalper, look at that range. You know, obviously short at the top and long at the bottom. It's like easy little money until it goes.
This range is identical to this range. These are the same thing, right? Price is fractal. This range is no different than a range we'll find on the 1 hour, right? And the exact same principles apply. So after an impulse move like you have here, what you want to do is you want to take a low that forms after the impulse move, and then you want to take a high, and that's going to be your range. So I just took this low to this high after this impulse move. There's my trading range, and look at how nice from this low and this high. Look how it is perfectly encapsulated the entire price action after that. And look at how well price, you know, kind of moves around the 50%. So multiple trading opportunities on this if you're a range trader, right? So if you're looking for a short in the upper 50% of this range, what do you want to see, right? You want to see bearish market structure form, right? So you want to see a high, a low, and then a lower high, and then you look for shorts, and you want to look for longs, or you could short every swing failure pattern that comes outside of the range, right? So you have a high form here. This is a swing failure pattern, right? We broke this high, and then we closed below it. So you can short that with your stop right up here. So for those of you that are impatient, they're like, yo, I want to fucking trade. A swing failure pattern works just that easy, right? We broke this previous swing high, but then we closed below the high. The body of the candle closed. So you can actually enter a short once this candle closes with your stop above the high, because if the pattern or whatever you want to call it, the technique is going to work, that high should now hold. And then you just target the bottom of the range. You know, you'll take that trade all day long, right?
Yep.
And the exact same trade happened right here, but on the long side. So we have a swing failure pattern of this low. We close back above it. You enter when the candle closes. You target the top of the range, and your stop goes here. So, I mean, there's been trades available. There's been trades available, right? You just have to, you know, be aware. Don't long up here. And for people who may ask, I get this question a lot, but like, how do I know that this, when this is happening live in price action, how do I know that this isn't the range breaking and we're going to go up? So here's how confirmation looks when you come out of a range. So when you make the high here, for this to not be just what like a Trader SZ is a guy I've learned a lot from. He calls this like a deviation. For this to not be considered a deviation, what you would want to see is price to come back down. It doesn't have to test the range high. It could come back in lower, but then this high needs to now be broken. So if price comes back into the range and then breaks the high that left the range initially, that's your confirmation that we might be leaving the range and expanding, right? So that's how you don't get caught out on these things. Don't just buy this breakout. Wait for price to come back down in, and then if it comes back out like this, you buy the break of that high. You know, don't just buy the wick. That's how breakout traders get fucked, right? They see a higher high made from over here, and they're like, okay, I'm going to buy this, and then they get dumped on instantly. So you'll see that's what happens in a range, right? All that's happening right now is liquidity is being formed on the top and bottom of the market, right? So they move price down here. What do people put shorts? They put their stops here, and they put their stops up here, right? If you're shorting the bottom of the range, your top stop goes there. What happens? You're already in the negative. Oh, now you're in profit slightly. Then they stop you out perfectly, right? So it's no accident there. And the exact same thing happens like on the long side, right? Like people are going to long the top of the range, put their stop here or here, and then they get whipped out. So the fact that people are getting eaten up in this volatility, it's like, it sucks, but you've just got to simplify your trading, you know, mark a range and be smart. Like here's a piece of, you know, of cool info. The reason I don't use indicators, right? Everything that is in an indicator, everything an indicator shows you, you can see in price action. There's no indicator that shows you something that's not in price action. Obviously, some indicators take volume into account, sure, if you're nitpicking, but for the most part, they're all based on price, right? A moving average is, you know, an average of the last however many bars of price. So as you get more experienced in studying price and studying, you know, charts, you'll realize that, first of all, not only are indicators lagging, but you don't need them. A range, this is your RSI, bro. When you're in the top part of the range, if I threw an RSI indicator on here, guess what it would say? It would say overbought. And if I'm in the bottom part of the range, the RSI would say oversold. But it's going to show me that after the fact. It's not going to be as up to date as just actual price. So I don't need an RSI indicator. If we're in a trading range and we're at the top of the trading range, I don't need an RSI to tell me we're overbought. I know we're overbought. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing goes for all sorts of indicators. You can break it down to what it's actually showing you, you know, in price, like Bollinger Bands. Like, do I need fucking Bollinger Bands to tell me that price is constricting right now? Of course not. Like, I know the Bollinger Bands are probably tight as hell right now, just based on looking at the chart. Like, I don't need the indicator busying up my chart. So, you know, if you guys are using indicators out there, learn what the indicator is showing you in price, and then learn how to just identify that in your charts yourself. That thing I just shared with you, the ranges, is hella dope. All those people with RSI indicators, they were getting overbought signals here. That's too late, man. It's overbought here, right? It's overbought here. You telling me with an RSI that's overbought here, you already missed it. And same thing, oversold down here. So that's your BTC update for y'all.
Damn, that was a hell of a one right there. That was a lot of. I'm over there taking notes as usual, man. That shit's crazy.
I agree. I mean, we talk about this all the time as far as like indicators. One thing I'd like to get your take on actually is because when that last wick formed, there was a huge premium. I mean, it was like $800 or $1,000 premium on Bitfinex. I know you're charting MEX right there. Like, where do you factor in that premium, and do you strictly look at MEX, or do you look at other exchanges as well?
That's a great question. So 2 points on that. A lot of people were messaging me, being like, "Hey, Mex or Bitfinex made a new high, right? Because it broke 7,300. I think it went up to almost 7,800, right?"
Yeah.
My advice, first of all, is if you're trading on BitMEX, that's the chart you pay attention to. Don't fuck any other chart. Trade the chart that you're actually trading on. And in terms of that specific wick, to me, that's like an anomaly. Like, I'm not going to let that wick tell me that, okay, a new high has been made, because that is, to me, pure manipulation. I don't believe anything about that wick. And if you ignore that wick, nothing has changed in terms of price action and technical analysis. Like, if you just were to wipe that wick off of your charts, really nothing has changed. We're still just in a range. So for a crazy wick like that, I would ignore it, but it's just a good reminder of, how much crypto is still the Wild West, and as much as people are like, we need this institutional money, which is coming and has already been here for those of you that don't know, and it's been coming this entire time. It's not just coming in like one like market buy. They're like, all right, the institutions are here. Time to go to 50K. Let me hit the green button. It's like, these motherfuckers have been investing in crypto for years. You don't think Fidelity, who just set up their fund and shit, just invested in crypto in October, really, of 2018? Like, come on.
That's what I was saying. I was saying that earlier. I was saying.
Yeah. So, like, these people are like, oh, the institutions are coming. It's so funny. A good buddy of mine, Danny Less, shout out to the Brammy Army. He made a post today being like, crypto Twitter, fuck the banks, but also crypto Twitter, we need the banks to invest in crypto. And it's like so true, but it's like, y'all are ignorant if you don't think that they're already here. But at the same time, there's still a long way, in my opinion, just because of the way price moves, before shit becomes more mainstream. But that said, that fuck you Tetherwick, you see shit like that in Forex when they do announcements like non-farm payroll. It's the exact same shit, right? So when like a country is going to announce like they're raising or changing their interest rates, or a company is making some earnings announcements, and you see some crazy price action where it like spikes up and then dumps off, that's no different than in crypto when there's FUD and when there's, some sort of Tether news coming out. It's all the exact same shit. The game is the same. It's the same playing field. It's being manipulated the same way, just even more so. I think there's hyper levels of this manipulation going on in crypto as opposed to, Forex and stocks, because those are regulated markets. So the manipulation and the scheming has to be a little less obvious. Like, it's funny how obvious some of the manipulation goes on that we see on Twitter. And we're like, okay, well, that's bullshit, right? But it still moves price like crazy. But that's just because the market is still so immature. But the same game is being played. Go look at any stock before or after an earnings announcement. Go look at a currency when they're announcing an interest rate. You're going to see the exact same shit that you're seeing here with this Tether FUD and whatever FUD there, has been. But yeah, to answer your question, I focus on the chart I'm trading, and a crazy wick like that, I don't let it affect my TA in any way. It's an anomaly. And if you got stopped out or fucked or tried to long that thing, I mean, that's Darwinism.
and just one point and a thought here. Also, like, I really like what you said there, man. And for people out there that want to trade all the time, there's no shame in being flat. You don't need to gamble. I mean, because you could have your biases on which way this is going to go. But frankly, we're in a spot that's it's borderline no trade. I mean, unless you're scalping the highs and the longs of the low time frame range, being flat isn't a bad thing. But one thing to keep in mind, which even has me leaning a little bit towards the bearish side, is you bring up stocks. I mean, stock market's taking some hits. I mean, we're touching I think we hit yearly lows today on the S&P and the Dow. And, they're talking about big money on there with, you talk about risk adverse, they're risk adverse. And some of these stop losses are going to get triggered. I mean, if legacy and traditional markets were to really start to take a hit, the most probable outcome would be that crypto takes a hit as well. And I think
exactly.
take that.
So
And we were talking, and that's crazy that you brought that up, KJ, because we were talking about it last show that with Crypto Orangutan, and he was like, if the stock market is taking a hit, what makes you think that they're gonna go and run and put their money in something that's even more volatile? Like that?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Like tell some fund manager, be like, don't worry, I've got a hedge for all these fucking people's monies we got in 401ks. We're gonna get in crypto. Like, it's not gonna happen. But at the same time, there's a lot of positive, FA, I guess you could say, for Bitcoin coming up in the future. I think it's funny that a lot of people, like I have a lot of my normie friends in air quotes who got into crypto in like January and December, and most of them lost money during the bear market. They're like saying, hey man, is it gonna go on a run again? And I think there is that catalyst, right? Where you could be like, okay, well, a lot of people can say, hey, well, it hit all-time high last December and it's been going down. Maybe it's time for another bull run. People forget the last bear market, it bottomed out for like a year. And if we're comparing this to 2014, I'm not saying that it's going to be the exact same. We're only at like 150 days or something like 140 days of this bottoming period. So there's no reason why it can't go sideways and potentially down more in the future. But I tell so many people a few things. I say, 6K Bitcoin is going to be, you're going to be an OG if you're on Twitter 3 years from now. And they're like, you got in at 6K, bro? You're like, yeah, man. So if you're not a trader, like 6K Bitcoin, in my opinion, is cheap. I have friends who ask me about Bitcoin. They say, should I buy now? I say, listen, if you're okay with it potentially going as low as $4,500 maybe, but then higher in the future, by all means, I think 6K is a great price to buy it, forget it. And to his point about being flat, 100%. And the fact that you own Bitcoin, you're long on Bitcoin. No matter whether or not you're in some sort of leverage position, like if you own Bitcoin, you're long Bitcoin. So if your stack is sitting in Bitcoin and you haven't cashed out to money, to US dollar or whatever, you're long Bitcoin, and there's nothing wrong with, being flat and just being a 1x long by owning Bitcoin. Like when I post bearish charts, people get mad at me. I was like, dude, I own Bitcoin. Like I want it to go up. I just think it might go down a little bit first. Like, so yeah, nothing wrong with being flat at all. Like, just remember, like if you're flat, like you could be technically making money just by the fact that you own Bitcoin, and it might go up a couple $100.
Also, if you want to become an OG, just post bullish charts only, and you'll get there very quickly.
Real quick, right? I think that was a great wrap up. And man, this has been a hella informational show, and we got some fucking all stars on this show: Blue, Satoshi Wolf, Clay, KJ, Trader Main. And I'm just the host, so I'm glad to be hosting with these guys. And I think we're gonna just about wrap that up. KJ, is there anything that you want to say before we go off air? Is it any events that you are attending? Is there any developments that you got going on in the dojo? What's going on?
Oh man, I just want to say thank you for inviting me on. I had a good time.
And thank you for coming on this motherfucker, bro. Appreciate it on short notice too. I just talked to you Monday about this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to say. The Dojo is a group that, we focus on all components of the market. We do a lot of this type of discussion. I do this like 3 or 4 times a week, so people are like, yeah, why don't you do YouTube content? I'm like, listen, I'm doing like 3 conference calls a week already. It sure feels like I'm working, but, I'm just focusing on being the best trader.
I know we got World Crypto Con coming up next week in Vegas, hosted at the Aria Hotel. I will be there. A couple of members from the Dog Pound will be there. You gonna be there, KJ, or you gonna be chilling or what?
I really would like to go, but I got family stuff, and damn.
Okay. What is there any other conferences that you have on the horizon that you want to get to?
These conferences are kind of bullshit. Like it's a good time to
see. This is gonna be my first one, so I don't know yet. So
I've been to a few, and you're basically like, for me, like when I go, I enjoy like the after parties and hanging out with crypto people and drinking and having a good time.
That's what I'm looking forward to too. Yeah,
that's the best part of it. Like when you go to the conference and you're at the actual event, it's all like, I mean, honestly, this should have been the signal to fucking exit the market, because it's just a bunch of people shilling ICOs and pitching their bullshit. And in retrospect, it was pretty clear we were in a massive bubble. But hopefully,
hopefully this one's a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I think
and I'll be
it'll be a lot of fun, being that it's in Vegas. I mean, it's going to be a wild, like the conference itself. It's kind of, you know.
I think you mainly go there to make connections and with all the people. Yeah.
And that's why I'm mainly going
like the celebrity I am.
Yeah. I forgot Maine is gonna be there, and that's really why I'm going to meet all of you guys. I mean, we pretty much know all we know about what's going on in the crypto space.
You're in the trenches with, and like been in Discords and Telegrams for the past year, and had experienced the highs and the lows. It's really good. So like, if you haven't done it, I think you're gonna have a fucking blast, because it's awesome meeting people that you all you know them as an avatar, really. And
exactly right.
Person, it's just like you've known them forever, and you have a great time. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Well,
stay safe, also.
Yeah, most
definitely. Yeah, come find me, all my trolls. Come find me.
We're gonna turn up. We're gonna have a troll. We're gonna have a fucking troll party at this motherfucker. I'm gonna come. We gonna all meet up, and then
I'm ready to hear this shit talk live.
Keep that. What they say? Keep that same energy in person, man. If you was over here attacking my guy, hey, we can have a constructive conversation. Be real about it. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun next week. And we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna get into this Friday night. I got shit to do. It's Halloween weekend in the States, and I'm trying to get turned up and go do something, get into some shit. Wrap it up. I'm Blockchain Dame. We had Blues, Satoshi Wolf, we had Clay, we had Maine, and special guest KJ, Crypto Jew, Dojo Sensei. Tune in 2 weeks for episode 9 of the Crypto Dog Pound Unleashed, and that's a wrap. Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, guys.
Catch that up.